Hey, Foot Clan, today's show is brought to you by FantasyChamps.com. I know there's some slackers out there. They're thinking, I won my fantasy championship. Now is the time. Stop slacking. Go get that gear. Go show off that hashtag Foot Clan title. Fantasy Champs has everything you need. Custom fantasy football jerseys, trophies, rings, belts. Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen a lot of fantasy football championship belts, and these are the absolute best. Jump on FantasyChamps.com right now. Check everything out, and you can save a little bit of money with the promo code BALLERS.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, yeah! Mike and Jay Grizz in the He's Outs.
Hey, I'm here.
Andy is here as well. Jason Moore is off enjoying a nice vacation.
Brooks is here.
And you might go, wait a minute. Mike only hosts when Andy is off.
This is as close as we've gotten to a one-man show.
So Andy,
I am present.
He's struggling.
I'm present. I don't know if I'm here. I'm trying.
Andy is dealing with a vocal sensation.
Yeah,
asphyxiation.
I've been running away from bears, such as Jay Grizz, for a while, screaming apparently. I don't know why I can't get my voice back. I have
been a week.
Half a voice.
I got a voice and a half and a bear, so we are good to go.
This thing started to go when we went to FSTA, which, by the way, shout out to the Foot Clan.
Yeah.
For the, lifting us up, giving us that best social media award.
Got that Josh Groban.
And the best thing that can happen when you go to a conference where your whole objective is talking to people is to completely lose your voice. So I'm here. I have my cup of tea, and I have my hashtag Foot Clan title shirt on.
So you'll be the captain, but the bear.
Jay Grizz will be there too.
The big quiet Jay Grizz. You'll captain. I will be the voice of the captain.
I'm gonna just basically lob you softballs.
Yes,
because that's all you can handle.
Yes,
and then you'll just answer.
Yeah, no fastballs, please.
We have the rookie review on the show today.
It's the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
They know that, don't they?
There's some new people.
That guy with the really nice voice introduced us.
Oh.
I am wearing my hashtag Foot Clan title t-shirt, which you can see on the YouTubes. Now, I won this, and I'm trying to remember. That was over you, correct?
That was.
And you still owe me a ring.
Yes. And
I was feeling kind of generous today. And I kind of
the slackers I was talking about for Fantasy Champs, I'm one of them.
I wanted to troll you specifically. So
untrollable.
If you've won a Foot Clan title, you can get these at shopballers.com. And just for today, if you use the promo code Mike's Tears, you can say it's already in there. You can save 10%.
Oh, come on.
So Mike's Tears will give you 10% off the Foot Clan title shirt at shopballers.com. I woke up and I needed to do something to celebrate.
I see. And my pain is your gain, Foot Clan.
That's right.
Get that 10%.
So
this may be obvious, Andy. Is that no apostrophe in there? Just all one word?
Just Mike's Tears.
Okay.
Yeah, no apostrophe.
All right. Well, welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. We are doing a rookie review. We're coming off the hot series where we talked the truth about all the positions. You can go back. That's evergreen content. Check it out. How did a player perform? Did they actually help you despite maybe they finished as a running back 1, but did they actually help you? Were they just terrible on the road? All of that stuff. You can go back and check those shows out. Today's quick question comes from Willem J. DeGrief. Says, which rookie player who didn't break out this year will break out next year? And we'll go to our guest analyst. That's right. Jay Grizz is going with Tarik Cohen, who had a miniature breakout.
Really, Jay?
Yeah, he says John Fox is out. Matt Nagy is in, former OC from the Chiefs. Plus,
Jordan Howard's too good. That's my truth. I believe that.
Jordan,
he's too good.
I think that if you get some innovative things happening with the Chicago Bears, that both Jordan Howard and Tarik Cohen can be fantasy relevant. Because Jordan Howard, as good as he is, he's a grinder. He's a two-down guy. Everyone can catch the ball in the NFL, but that is not his specialty. We saw them lose week 1 because because of them stone hands. I'll jump in here, and mine's a little bit under.
By the way, we'll talk about Trubisky and the impact of – I mean, this is the rookie show for running backs and quarterbacks, so we'll talk about both of those and the new head coach.
I'm going with Chris Godwin.
I really like it.
Wide receiver, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was picked in the 3rd round. He didn't do a ton last year, but he was one of the receivers that was highlighted in our ultimate draft kit. Matt Harmon, he features the reception perception. He's from NFL.com, Matt Harmon, and he breaks down how good are these players, how can they separate. And he looked at the college tape of Chris Godwin, and he loved him, and so that caused us to take a deeper look. And sure enough, Chris Godwin was an excellent wide receiver. He just didn't have a ton of opportunity with Mike Evans, and DeSean Jackson was the big free agent splash. But once he got in there, he produced. Week 9 against the Jets, he had to come in. He played on 97% of snaps, 10 targets, 5 for 68. And then the final 4 games, he played over 50% of snaps. And in 3 of those games, he had at least 68 yards or more, including the final 2 weeks, a 98-yard game, and then a 111 with a touchdown. Chris Godwin is an excellent player. He's going to be a later round value who I think has the opportunity to break out, because Jameis Winston, in that second half, once Chris Godwin was playing, Jameis Winston played a lot better.
How much depends on Djax and Cameron Brate? Maybe coming back as
Humphreys.
an RFA.
I think that it's just Humphreys, where
pronounced with an Humphreys.
It's pronounced with an Humphreys still, but Chris Godwin I think will be that 3rd wide receiver. DeSean Jackson will still be there, but Chris Godwin. Now I'm not calling for a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 level of a breakout unless something were to happen to Mike Evans or DeSean Jackson. But I think Chris Godwin is going to be a great late round flyer.
I have to throw Corey Davis out there.
Sure.
And that one's probably going to be a popular pick. But for a reason. He did not break out, right?
No, he did not.
And we saw flashes in the playoffs. Eric Decker's a free agent going on his age 32 season. He's not going to be back, in my opinion. Harry Douglas will be gone. And so you're talking about a new regime coming in with Adam Vrabel, with a new offensive coordinator now. They signed him this morning, Matt LaFleur from formerly of the Rams, and an opportunity for a really big guy who has a lot of skill, a lot
Corey
of talent.
Davis is great.
I mean, you just talked about Godwin. What's he going to be? He's going to be a late round value.
Right.
Davis has a chance to be a 1 or a 2.
Oh, it certainly does.
I mean, a top 15 guy.
You're going to have to pay up for Corey Davis. So I bet he's drafted
So let
fifth-ish.
me throw this out there while I still have a voice to do so. If Landry leaves Miami and it's Parker is the one there, would you even count Parker as the one, or are you still thinking it's Stills?
I would say Kenny Stills, who has actual production the past 2 years.
So you'd like Davis over Parker even if Landry left?
If Landry leaves,
would you draft Davis over Parker?
Man, that theoretical upside of Devontae Parker is so enticing.
It's just sitting there. But they won't. I mean, Tannehill will be back.
Yeah, I think I would go with Corey Davis. But they are going to
go. I'm making that decision in Dynasty. It's tough.
What? Oh, you had a trade offer?
Well, I've been going back and forth. Do I want to ship Parker out?
Do tell.
Would I ship Parker out with a little something to get Corey Davis because I like Davis so much?
Ooh. Oh, no. I want to hear this. You got to break this down for the Foot Clan. This is
Dynasty
time.
Right now, I have an offer out there that I have sending Devontae Parker and Mac Hollins in Dynasty away for Corey Davis.
Oh, I would do that.
If you were who?
I would. I want the Corey Davis side of that trade.
Yeah, so do I.
That would be an Andy Holloway.
Of course, now
special.
I've said it on the air, and it's not going to happen.
Well, while Brooks is editing and publishing, you got to push this hard before your league mate hears it.
That's true. I do. I need to send him a message right now.
Yeah.
Now, if he thinks he's smarter than me and better than me at fantasy, he'll obviously do the deal to outsmart me.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm going to send him this episode right away. Tell him to listen immediately.
Oh, because you're in my division?
Yes.
And I'm the defending champion of the world?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to remind people, one way you can help support the show, other than sending me like lozenges, is you can actually support us on iTunes, on the Apple Podcast app.
Apple Podcasts, yes.
Yes, it is the Apple Podcast app. A lot of people still refer to it as iTunes. I am a man of the people.
Hey,
I want to make sure that
No,
everybody understands what's going on.
You got to let the people know that it's Apple Podcasts.
So you can drop us a review on there. We read those on the show from time to time, and they really help support the podcast, which is free. Brooks, I'm sure you've left us a review before.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's good. The website's thefantasyfootballers.com. We are going to start the pre-sales on the UDK
Oh!
very soon,
Oh!
probably Super Bowl Sunday.
What?
Yeah. So best possible price on the UDK. 10,000 plus people understand the value of the UDK. All you got to do is look on Twitter, put in the hashtag UDK at the FF Ballers. You'll see people's reviews.
That's the ultimate draft kit.
That is right. You'll be ready for 2018. Thank you, Brooks. Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, there was some interesting news last week. We had already recorded the show, and then this broke that the WWE chairman, Vince McMahon, will be relaunching the XFL. He hopes to get it off the ground January 2020. And my Twitter feed, my mentions,
They want the
were
commentary.
ablaze.
Now, is Ronda Rousey going to play quarterback?
Maybe. No, she is in the WWE now.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going to happen here. 20 years later, the XFL back.
Wow, it was 20 years? Wow. But
You know it was a long time ago, and there's already been a 30 for 30 about it.
My mentions, all of our mentions were, when's the XFL podcast? Not currently scheduled. But we will see. We're not
going to compete with the NFL.
Yeah, we're not going to break things down. The XFL, who knows? It's all about good football. I think that if they put out a good product, people will watch because people love football. I love football. If they can figure out how it's an 8-team league, if they can get 8 good quarterbacks,
right?
But here's the thing:
the NFL
can't get 32 good quarterbacks.
They can't get 8 good quarterbacks.
So good luck with that. But we wish them the best of luck. Bill Center, very unfortunate news. Eric Wood, he has to retire from the NFL after 9 seasons. An excellent center. He was 16th, the 16th ranked center last year according to Pro Football Focus. They gave him a postseason physical, and luckily for Eric Wood, they caught something in his neck that was a problem that is forcing him to retire. So Eric Wood, best of luck with your life, my friend. Tom Brady had his stitches removed, so
he's not going to be as good this week.
That's big news. So now, is it possible that Tom Brady, he's not a snitch, is he?
Because snitches get stitches.
That's what I've heard.
Probably not.
Did he snitch on Rex Burkhead?
I think people snitch on him with the Flakegate and the video and those things. So,
Rob Gronkowski, he's returned to practice. He's still in the protocol,
he's
but
not going to miss another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I fully expect Rob Gronkowski to play. Robbie Anderson has pleaded not guilty on 9 charges.
This Rob is not going to be in the Super Bowl.
Man,
did you just realize it was 9 charges?
I knew it was bad, and because I read some of them, I didn't realize it was up to 9 charges.
You can get 8 charges thrown out and still end up suspended.
He could get cleared on all 9 charges and still get suspended.
Not good.
ESPN's Adam Schefter report. Blake the Snake. Blake, do we got that?
Yeah.
I got a snake, man.
He had a surgery on his right wrist last Friday. So, ladies and gentlemen, Blake Bortles, who's playing sensational football not the first game of the playoffs, but
Brooks is shaking his head.
But the next 2 games.
Would you define
sensational football?
Did you see Blake Bortles against the Pats?
I think sensational is a stretch.
No. Blake Bortles played great.
It's hard because I blame Bortles and Marone equally for what happened because it was one part you don't give an opportunity to the quarterback to show you whether he can do anything, but then Bortles has also shown you so much that he doesn't deserve the opportunity.
But my point was simply he did all that
he was hurt
with a bum wrist. So next year, look out.
Yeah, he'll be the best backup in the league next year.
Oh, he's starting next year.
You think so?
Yeah, I do think so.
You want to do a really?
Oh yeah, put it on the board. I mean,
Waterbed.
All right, we'll bet on that. I don't think he's starting.
I do think he will start.
If I were Tom Coughlin, I would do everything in my power to get Alex Smith. Alex Smith is the most perfect piece for the Jags you could possibly ask.
If you can get Alex,
they're a Super Bowl winning team easily with Alex Smith.
At least in the Super Bowl.
Yes. They were close this year with Blake Bortles.
That's what I'm saying. What? Yeah, we shall see. Ian Rappaport says Andrew Luck is very close to throwing. Andrew Luck's been very close to throwing now for 2 years.
He's got to be going crazy.
Yes,
Andrew Luck has got to be going crazy.
Rappaport also saying, talking about dynasty here, Darren Sproles is leaning towards returning for the 2018 season. Darren Sproles is an unrestricted free agent. If you are playing in dynasty, check your waiver wire. You can go ahead and peek because I picked him up a couple weeks ago.
Dang it, man. Dang it.
But
Mike's Tears. Use the promo code Mike's Tears.
Yes.
At shopballers.com.
But Darren Sproles, he only played 3 games, well, 2.5, whatever. But he still had juice. We'll see what happens. Will he be back with the Eagles? They do have Corey Clement, who played great this year. They have Donnell Pumphrey.
I don't think he'll be back.
With the Eagles?
We'll see. I want to circle back to the Andrew Luck thing. I posted a question on Twitter that I thought would be really close. So with McDaniels coming in and Luck seemingly, we think he'll return. I was curious what the T.Y. Hilton versus Tyreek Hill hype would be. Who would go higher? And I know there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. But I threw it out there. 6,000 people voted. 51% would take T.Y. Hilton, 49% Tyreek Hill.
And I don't know who I would take.
I guess the question was more who's going to be drafted higher in next year's fantasy drafts. They predicted T.Y. Hilton. I would take Tyreek Hill right now. And
even if it's Pat Mahomes?
Yes. And I want to bring that up because I'm not sure that's not better. I really don't. I think Tyreek Hill is a really good wide receiver. And I'm not sure it's not an actual upgrade for his stock. This is not a wide receiver 3. This is not a late round wide. This is a 1. Tyreek Hill is a 1. And this is an established offense.
Sure.
Not a team that, has a broken offensive line and a lot of issues. No running back. Talk of the Colts taking Saquon Barkley at 3. That's their current state of affairs. So I would take Tyreek Hill.
All right, in further news, we have coaching news. So Schefter is confirming the Colts will hire the Patriots OC Josh McDaniels. The Cardinals hired ex-Broncos OC Mike McCoy as their offensive coordinator, and he has also alluded to he believes that Larry Fitzgerald will be back with the Arizona Cardinals. We shall see.
I was reading that this morning.
It's all on the quarterback.
Yeah. So I think that Fitz will be back.
You do?
I do. He's
even if the quarterback is rookie?
I don't know. I think he'll be back. I think he's got too big of a piece of the offensive pie, which represents more records, which represents solidifying his legacy. And he's playing at too high of a level.
He's done. He's locked first ballot Hall of Fame.
Okay, solidifying isn't the right word. Accentuating, adding to.
Sure, but
building. He has Jerry Rice records that are within reach. Some of them.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying he's playing at such a high level. I think he'll be back.
Right, but it's at what cost to your body when you know there's little to no if it's a rookie. If it's a rookie quarterback, you have little to no chance of making the playoffs.
I don't think it'll be a rookie.
Super Bowl.
I think it'll be a veteran they bring in.
All right.
Blake Bortles.
Then he's starting, and then you have lost the water bet.
That's true. I will have lost if that happens in more ways than one.
Excellent news for the show. The former Saints or Saints tight end coach, Guns Mahoney.
Dan Campbell. Guns Mahoney's back.
Guns Mahoney will interview for the Vikings OC vacancy. Dirk Cutter actually going to bring in a full-time offensive coordinator.
Thank goodness.
Thank you, Dirk Cutter. And we talked about the Titans had some coaching changes as well. We kind of already brought those up. Before we jump into the rookie review, you had a finger up.
No, I'm gonna jump in first.
Go ahead.
I want to thank Pristine Auction. the absolute best place on earth to get signed, authentic sports memorabilia, jerseys, footballs, helmets, whatever your player, your favorite player is. Go to Pristine Auction, take a look.
He's probably there.
He's probably there. Different options and daily auctions every single day. Hundreds of them. They have these new 10-minute auctions you can check out. It's free to browse, and you can get a deal. I mean, our entire studio is covered in memorabilia from Pristine Auction. They are a local company near us. We get to go and check out their, entire warehouse, and they're great guys, and they stand by their product. So check them out at pristineauction.com. Recently, look, that Tarik Hill, that who I like more than T.Y. Hilton, jersey just went for $79.85. Autographed, authentic, JSA certified. A logo football from Tarik Hill, $46. So there are deals to be had. Pristineauction.com, Pristine auction.com.
Want to thank Pro Flowers. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a combo. Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries are coming together. Valentine's Day is coming up, and they are uniting for the easiest gift. And it's incredible.
Oh, my gosh, I have my wife's birthday and Valentine's Day.
Oh, well, then this read is just for you. And
thank you.
Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries have teamed up to help you really impress your Valentine this year with their perfectly paired collection. Go ahead, think inside the box this Valentine's Day, because this is really a one-of-a-kind gift. Your bouquet and dipped strawberries. Do you hear me, people? Flowers and chocolate dipped strawberries, one package. They make it as easy as possible. It will arrive together. Beautiful, specially designed box. Keep your flowers fresh and your berries cold guaranteed. Right now, our listeners can save 20% on any one of their perfectly paired combinations or any other gift over $29 with the promo code FOOTBALLERS. I have already seen this. I have already seen the packaging. I've already experienced the flowers and the chocolate dipped strawberries. This gift will be a hit this Valentine's.
Are you going to get it for me?
Oh, yeah, sure.
As a reward.
Yeah, Mike's tears. You get nothing from me, but my wife will be getting this. There's only one way to get 20% off a perfectly paired gift over $29, featuring beautiful blooms from Pro Flowers and freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries. Visit proflowers.com today. Enter the code FOOTBALLERS at checkout. That's proflowers.com, code FOOTBALLERS.
Rookie Review.
I like that drop.
Thank you.
Sounds better in my voice.
It's fresh.
All right.
Fresh from the factory.
Talk about how we're breaking these down and what we're going over today.
So what we're doing, rookie review, we're going to look at how some rookies performed, which you'll notice that a lot of these running backs were featured in the Truth episodes. But we're also going to talk a little bit about how we projected these guys, where we hit, where we missed, and then a little bit of future speculation of how we foresee them in the 2018 season.
Well, a lot of it comes down to talent and opportunity, right?
Of course.
A lot of these players have a lot of talent, but will the chips fall where they need to get them into a relevant role in 2018? And some of them have already established themselves, and others haven't. And we want to kind of give you that heads up where we think it's headed. So let's start with Fournette. I mean, we're going to go in the order. We're going to start at running back. We're going to go in the order of where they were drafted in terms of rookie.
NFL draft.
The NFL draft, these offensive pieces, these running backs. Now, Fournette, we already talked about him. He was the 8th best running back, the 5th most consistent, and had a great – I mean, this is a successful year.
Yes. It's definitely a successful year. There are still a couple red flags. I mean, you're talking some very strong inefficiencies. He only had 10-plus yards – or he had 10 or more yards on just 18 of 268 carries. That's very low. That's Frank Gore, DeMarco Murray, Adrian Peterson. I mean, that's 4th worst. That's not what you want from
not what you expected
from a 4th overall pick running back has a great defense.
Well, yes, great top speed. How much of this is – see, when I look at that number, that's based on percentage of carries. So, one, he got many more carries than Gore, Peterson, and DeMarco.
Sure.
Secondly, he battled through injury this year. And
the injuries are also a concern for me.
Right. No, I agree with that. And then there's the element of a lot of those carries where, look, this is a defensive team. You run out the clock at the end of the game, so your percentage goes down. I did expect more breakout plays from him, but between the injuries and the inefficiencies, you're still looking at him as a top, what?
Yes. It's hard to not put him at a running back 1. I'm not trying to be real contrarian here and say Leonard Fournette's a bust.
But he's not a third down guy.
Well, and I was just going to say, fewer receptions than DeMarco Murray, Andre Ellington, and Matt Forte. So this was one of my concerns.
Jordan Howard.
Yeah, so Fournette coming out of college, I know Jason loved him. You did as well, Andy. I was a little more skeptical, and just because of what are running backs today in the NFL, if they need to be versatile, they need to be able to catch the ball, and that wasn't in Fournette's profile. I wasn't saying he can't do it. It's just the production in college wasn't there. They didn't use him as that. They have T.J. Yeldon, T.J. Yeldon's a good running back, and T.J. Yeldon's a good pass catcher. They had Corey Grant. We'll see if he comes back or not. But I don't think Fournette will be that full 3-down running back that you really want or need in fantasy. He'll still be a running back 1 with that volume, but the injuries are a concern. Lower leg, ankle, foot. He had issues in college. He had issues this year. So he won't be an automatic top 5 pick for me. And I don't, maybe that's not a hot take or anything, but I think that a lot of fantasy players out there are going to be scrambling to get Leonard Fournette on their team, and I will take him if he falls to me.
Well, let's contrast him with Christian McCaffrey, running back for the Carolina Panthers. Ended up the number 11 fantasy running back, the 23rd most consistent. I'm not as concerned with the consistency numbers on these rookies if their role is established as they grow into, these fantasy forces like these early guys will. Now, he averaged 7.1 targets per game. That was the number 1 at the running back position overall. You have a team and a player in Cam Newton that did not have an offense that featured the running back the way that they tried to feature McCaffrey this year. How do you see McCaffrey projecting forward? Because I think he has the widest range.
Right.
And I think he has the opportunity to whether you take him over Fournette next year or not, he absolutely has the ability in a half-point league or a full-point league to outperform Fournette. Yes. So what do you see for his future? In
a full PPR, I think you can have that as a real conversation of Christian McCaffrey or Leonard Fournette. 80 receptions this year, and we featured this in the Truth episodes, but just he had the most running back targets, but that only translated to the 3rd most running back receptions. His actual catch percentage was not what you had hoped, and I don't really put that on Christian McCaffrey, but I'm not going to say Cam Newton can't grow in that role, get an off season, a second season getting used to that. So Christian McCaffrey in full PPR, he's going to be, I think, closer to Fournette, but he doesn't have the same touchdown upside. We saw him, he did score 5 receiving touchdowns, is great. But
Jonathan Stewart is still going to be back.
Jonathan Stewart is under contract. He is a cap hit of $5.2 million or a $1.5 million dead cap. So they could save close to $4 million by cutting Jonathan Stewart. My point in saying that is even if they do that, I think that they will draft a big bruiser guy because they don't want –
you can't give him 260
They won't do that with
carries.
Christian McCaffrey. He had such massive success running as a runner in college. So it would be interesting to see what he can actually do.
That is where he struggled this year.
It wasn't great this year, though.
No. The next 2 running backs off the board in the NFL draft were Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon. The 2 running backs after them, Kamara and Hunt, finished 3-4 in fantasy. But I think Cook and Mixon are the most interesting from a fantasy perspective.
You got to be fair for Dalvin Cook because if Dalvin Cook doesn't tear his ACL,
sure,
he's an absolute beast.
Absolutely. And you have a situation in Minnesota. Jerick McKinnon is a free agent. He wants to be featured. He's not going to be involved if Cook and Murray are back. And Cook has that job, and he has the skill set to be 3 downs. So you have the question mark coming off the injury, but it was an earlier injury. It wasn't late in the season.
Yeah, it was week 4. He's already jogging. I expect Dalvin Cook to be back. And coming.
But what when you have to make the decision on Cook, are you making it as though he's a top 12 guy?
Yes.
A top 12 fantasy running back?
Yes.
And are you picking him over Joe Mixon, who should have the backfield locked up in Cincinnati?
Yeah, but he still Joe Mixon still has Marvin Lewis. He still has that offensive line. He still has that offense. I know that the Vikings are losing Pat Schumer to or have lost him, I should say. So there will be change. And who's the quarterback from Minnesota? But I know
Blake Bortles. Oh, wait. Sorry.
He's playing everywhere.
He's every team's
He's such
quarterback.
a beast.
He is a monster.
But Dalvin Cook.
He moonlights for other teams.
That would be awesome. It's a quarterback.
He's co-owned. Because nobody wants to pay that salary to Blake Bortles.
They all split it, and he's the backup for 5 teams.
There you go.
So starter's down. Can we get Blake this week?
That's right.
No? You got him?
Snake, man.
Oh, all right. We'll figure it out. Dalvin
He
Cook,
had to pay for his own surgery. Did you hear that? Bortles did.
He actually he did it.
He did it himself?
He did his own surgery.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, left-handed.
Yeah,
it's very,
that's
very
smart.
impressive.
Smart.
Dalvin Cook coming into the year. Dalvin Cook is I feel conflicted about my
He played
analysis.
4 games last year.
Well, I'm talking about my analysis of Dalvin Cook coming into the league because early in the offseason, when you're talking for dynasty and everything, the combine hasn't happened, draft hasn't happened. Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette were the 2 most talked about running backs. And Dalvin Cook, when I watched everything, Dalvin Cook was by far my favorite running back. I liked him more than Leonard Fournette. Then the combine happened, and I let that poison me when Dalvin Cook showed up and just bombed everything. Because I think that I weigh all of that stuff. I don't just weigh watching a guy on tape, breaking down how does he look? Is he a good football player?
And that's what Cook looked great.
Yes, he looked incredible, but then he just stunk so bad at the combine that it poisoned me. And Latavius Murray there, but once the Latavius Murray injury was like he's not going to be ready, then I was fully back on with Dalvin Cook, but not fully the way that I was earlier in the offseason. So that felt bad. That hurt my soul. A guy who I had as my number 1 running back, I moved him.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, you see the impact that the rookie running backs have had in the NFL this year. These top, outside of Cook's injury, I mean, you pretty much plug and played these top 6 guys. The top 6 running backs are all going to be what they hoped for the most part.
Right.
And if you're looking at free agency this year and you're looking at, do I draft a running back or do I go pay for one? Teams are going to draft running backs. That
you
market,
have to.
Yeah, and Joe Mixon, there was good and there was bad and there was ugly.
Sure.
He was only 3.5 a carry.
That's ugly.
He was 10.4 after the catch, which was 3rd best in the league, and that's with guys like Chris Thompson, who in your mind, you see Chris Thompson, you think
elite
catch
pass
the ball,
catcher.
Elite pass catcher. Todd Gurley, what he did this year was number 2. And then you have Joe Mixon, who was actually ahead of Gio Bernard, who was ironically 4th. So they have a guy there.
Yeah, that's the problem with Joe Mixon.
But Mixon was good. He was elite out of the backfield.
But here's the problem. Gio Bernard. And Gio Bernard is very cheap. When you're talking about drafting versus paying a running back, they already signed Gio, and they have him for the next 2 years, roughly over $4 million cap hit per year. That's a guy you're going to keep for how good Gio actually is. So he had inefficiencies running the ball for Joe Mixon. He had 15 carries inside the 10, 3 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns on those carries. That's bad. He had 6 games of over 15 carries, and really only 2 of those games were you'd consider a good rushing game against Cleveland.
Had some injuries at the end of the year.
Yeah, but I mean the final game against Baltimore to knock them out of the playoffs. Joe Mixon did show up, so at least you're finishing on somewhat of a strong point. But why I liked Joe Mixon as a dynasty pick was the skill set to be a 3-down back. Can be a runner and a pass catcher. Jeremy Hill is likely gone, but they're not going to get rid of Gio Bernard. And if Joe Mixon isn't going to get all those targets, 30 receptions for 287 yards, that's fine if he's getting 250-plus carries. Do you think he's going to get in that 250 range?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he'll be right around there. 250, 260.
So then you can have
this
some
offense
confidence.
needs to bounce back. If your line and your quarterback play and what we saw last year, the nice thing is they ended strong, and there is something to be said about
sort of the nice thing because then now Marvin Lewis is back.
Right. I was going to say there is consistency there, but he'll be interesting.
It's like consistency in like a sludgy drink.
I was going to say it's like if you go.
You're like, oh, yeah, well, it's consistent. It's consistently gross. Well, I'm going to keep drinking it.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep drinking it as fantasy owners. Kamara. Alvin Kamara. Kamara. I do it all the time now because you got the Super Camario in my head.
Oh, okay.
I always used to say Kamara, but then we threw the Super Camario out there. I think we need a judge's ruling.
Oh, Judge Giamatti. Where do we land?
What do you want me to say from now on, Judge?
They're both fine.
Dang it.
The judge is riding the fence.
Yep.
Oh.
All right, so Super Camario, end of the year number 3. What's there to say about him? What do you want to touch on in this episode?
I just want to point out the incredible efficiency, which is the concern.
That's the red flag.
For Alvin Kamara.
And it's good and bad.
Right. Yeah, you can't take away from what he did.
It's like Matt Ryan last year.
Exactly.
Or Carson Wentz this year.
You have to expect regression because even MVP players can't perform like that every single season. He had 8 rushing touchdowns. 8! Mark Ingram had 12, but for him to have 8 rushing touchdowns is a lot. Here's the problem. Like we said, not really it's not a problem, but it's a concern for a guy who's going to go first round. Easy.
The concern,
Easy.
let's
Well, I'm going to break down the touches.
Go ahead.
24th in running back touches. He was tied with Jerick McKinnon in terms of touching the ball. He had the 3rd most fantasy points in the running back position. Only 2 running backs in the top 10 of fantasy points weren't in the top 10 of running back touches. Ezekiel Elliott, who was 13th in running back touches. Alvin Kamara was 24th in running back touches. Jordan Howard and Frank Gore were the only running backs in the top 10 in terms of touches that did not make it in the top 10 for fantasy points. Can Alvin Kamara do it again?
I feel like you're asking me, is Alvin Kamara Jamal Charles?
Sure.
Because Jamal Charles,
that's a fair point. We're not saying it's impossible.
Right.
It's just unlikely.
And I just wanted to add context there in the sense that you're looking at the situation and you're trying to evaluate cost versus fantasy success. Like I don't have any doubt in my mind whatsoever that Alvin Kamara is going to be a fantasy monster, assuming he's healthy, for years to come. But when that efficiency, 24th in touches, number 3 running back.
That's
when you have that,
big difference.
You're going to pay a lot for him because you're going to want the reproduction of that. And what you're going to need is the touches to go up unless you expect him to average like 8.5 per touch. And maybe, we always said that about Jamal Charles, right? Like, how can a player average 5 to 6 yards per carry for his entire career? And he just did.
Right.
And Kamara could do that. But there is a bit of just a warning light. And what happens is when push comes...
It's a check engine.
Yeah, when push comes to shove, am I going to draft him over somebody else that has the more guaranteed touch? Am I going to take him over Zeke?
No, I'm not.
Someone will.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Kareem Hunt. Number 4 this year. We've talked. We go listen to the running back show. We talked in depth about his consistency. We talked in depth about what happened. He was a 3rd-round pick.
He led the league in rushing.
Yes. And here we have an established role for Kareem Hunt next year. Now, you did bring up on the running back show, Spencer Ware could return. Could have a shared backfield to some extent. But Kareem Hunt, this is his job. You feel confident with him?
I do. I do feel very confident with Kareem Hunt. And, yes, you're going to get the weeks where the head coach comes out and says, I don't know how he only got 5 carries. That's going to happen. But he's going to be a running back 1, and I think that's like Kareem Hunt. In my projection, he will go after Alvin Kamara in drafts, which
you would take the better value there.
Yes,
okay.
But I'm just saying it's hard to invest a higher pick in a guy who got the 24th most touches compared to Kareem Hunt, who I know is going to get volume. And you could even see his role expand. Yes, Spencer Ware will be back. Well, we'll see how good Spencer Ware can be coming off that injury. But
if it's Pat Mahomes, how much do they want to put on Mahomes versus the running game?
Exactly.
That type of thing.
And, I mean, Kareem Hunt was pulled for a lot of third downs for Sharkandrick West. Maybe Kareem Hunt gets a little bit more of that third down role.
All right. Let's talk about the more interesting names at the back of the running back list here. Deonta Foreman.
Yes.
Very interesting because Foreman flashed many times this year. A lot of negative press about Foreman to start the year. Out of shape was the what we heard, the narrative we heard.
Incident.
Yeah, had the off-field incident. You have Lamar Miller there. You had Alfred Blue there. I want to put this in context. Deonta Foreman tore his Achilles at the end of the year, at the end of a great touchdown play. I look at him and I see Jonathan Stewart.
Okay.
But like healthy and like in his prime. And a player that can catch the ball. He can make a big play. Alfred Blue's a free agent. He's not coming back, assuming
correct
the health of Deonta Foreman, which right now we're seeing good reports. We're seeing Deonta Foreman in a walking boot. We're seeing Deonta Foreman optimistic about his recovery. And I see next year about a 50-50 split between Foreman and Lamar Miller. What do you see for Deonta Foreman, a player that should be of value in fantasy drafts?
I agree that he's going to be a value. Lamar Miller, will he be a Houston Texan? Here's the contract situation. He will be $6.75 million against the cap, a $2 million dead cap if they cut him. So you can save $4.75, maybe. That's a gray area. Lamar Miller could be back. Here's what's interesting for me for Deonta Foreman. He essentially played 9 games because technically it was 10, but he didn't really play against Seattle. I think he had 1% snap, 1% of the snaps. He played roughly.
I had that many as well.
I had less or fewer, whatever. In 9 games, he essentially played around 25% of the snaps in those games per game. But in 5 of 9 of those games, he had double-digit carries. So when he was on the field, they gave him the ball.
There was a hot hand element to the way they ran that backfield.
And there was a much hotter hand when Deshaun Watson was the quarterback. So if Foreman can take a bigger slice of that running back pie,
I think he's very interesting.
Then he becomes very interesting. Here's the real red flag, the fumbles. His last year of college, per Pro Football Focus, he had 7 fumbles and 323 carries. That's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
Last year, he had 2 fumbles and 78 attempts.
And it got him on the bench at
Lamar
times.
Miller fumbled 1 time with 238 carries.
Yeah.
Twice in 78 carries. That's bad. He cannot do that and think that he's going to stay an NFL running back.
Well, Lamar Miller runs at half speed to keep the ball safe. Another third-round pick, James Conner. Is there a world where James Conner has fantasy relevance next year outside of a handcuff?
Yeah, certainly. But
odds of Lev Bell returning are about 95% to me.
I would put Lev Bell returning at high 80s. I'm not going in the 90s, but James Conner, if he's the starting running back for Pittsburgh, he becomes very interesting. But other than that, he's just the handcuff.
A lot of running backs went off the board in the 4th round of last year's NFL draft. Samaje Perine, Tarik Cohen, Joe Williams. Donnell Pumphrey.
Joe Williams.
Jamal Williams.
The Tails. I've heard of Joe Williams.
Wayne Gallman and Marlon Mack all went off the board in the 4th round. Let's hit on your favorites and what you see as the future. Tarik Cohen, we talked about him in the quick question. Samaje Perine had his opportunities last year. Never put up what we qualified as a great game in terms of our consistency ranking, so that would be a top 5 performance. Had 175 carries, had 603 yards and a touchdown, so didn't get into the end zone. At times, certainly looked like a competent NFL quarterback or running back.
Sure. If you want to, I want to bring up something kind of gross.
Okay.
Because you said mention the names that are interesting to me, and you know my love for Samaje Perine, who was mostly disappointing, but do remember the Washington offensive line was absolutely decimated. So I'm not giving up on the Washington running back situation. It might be Rob Kelly though, so we're not sure what's going on yet. Wayne Gallman. I told you it was going to be gross. Pat Schumer's in, right? Final 4 games for Wayne Gallman. This is what he averaged in the final 4 games when the season was done. They're saying let's see what Wayne Gallman can do.
Running back for the New York Giants.
Yes, thank you. 11 carries for 51 yards, 5 receptions for 31 yards. Now those aren't incredible numbers, but that's 5 receptions a game, over 80 yards a game, and his new head coach just saw Jerick McKinnon get 51 receptions last year. Wayne Gallman, if
he piques your curiosity a little bit,
he does. Now, to be fair, Paul Perkins, Smash Jackson piqued my interest a little bit last year, coming off of a few good games. But the fact that they used so much Wayne Gallman as a receiver, and Shane Vereen, their receiving guy, unrestricted free agent. He's not coming back, in my opinion. If he comes back, this Wayne Gallman twinge of hope is probably squashed by a giant boot. But just saying, don't go, oh, New York Giant running back. I don't want nothing to do with this. And meanwhile, I'll scoop him up in the 7th round and just see what happens.
So when you look at the landscape for these 4th round guys from last year, Perine, Cohen, Joe Williams, Donnell Pumphrey, Jamal Williams, Wayne Gallman, Marlon Mack, every single one of them has shared backfield question marks there, right? I mean, Gallman's not going to get while Smash Jackson's not the answer.
Oh no, no, Paul Perkins.
It's not going to be Gallman's entire backfield. Marlon Mack has an opportunity, a great opportunity with Gore being a free agent, with Josh McDaniels coming in, with the times that he flashed last year, but he didn't have a ton of work.
No, that's all on Frank Gore. What is your current projection for Green Bay, their backfield? Because you have Jamal Williams, and
you have Aaron Jones, and you have Ty Montgomery. That's my projection.
Oh, you think
their
Montgomery
roster
will continue to be a running back?
I think they'll use him. I think they will use. He was good, and I think they'll use him in that capacity. But he's not going to carry the load, and there's going to be question marks. I don't know how that really sifts out. I mean, you're going to have. We talked about it. Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. Is there if Randall Cobb's gone and Ty Montgomery starts playing out of the slot more, maybe something gets clarity. But right now, I think it's going to be. I think they're okay sharing the backfield
because they've said that, but they don't actually do that. When they have a guy, he is the guy. I mean, you had Ty Montgomery who was set to break.
They didn't want Ty Montgomery to be that though.
Right.
Jamal Williams was hurt. Aaron Jones was hurt. So when Montgomery got more work than every other running back in football, that was by necessity.
Right, but then Aaron Jones. Once it went to Aaron Jones, it was all Aaron Jones. Who he had the 2 games where he was over to 80% of snaps, which 80% of snaps, that's a lot.
Yep.
Even for great running backs, that's a lot.
So I want to know what you see right now. It's January 30th.
I think it's Jamal. I think it's Jamal Williams, who from week 9 through 16 averaged 18 attempts and 4 targets.
The interesting thing about Jamal Williams, the only thing I'll bring up about him is that he was elusive-wise.
Oh, no.
Plays of 10-plus yards, he couldn't do it.
No.
And so he does seem like the kind of back that he can take a beating, he can catch the ball. if I had to pick one of the three, I'd probably take the big-bodied Williams.
That's what I mean. Right now, you got to take one. You're going
All right, give me one more name to think about out of the running backs before we talk briefly about quarterbacks here. You got Chris Carson. He was a 7th-round pick.
Yeah, no.
He may have an opportunity.
No, thank you.
Elijah McGuire. He's got a couple older guys in Powell and Matt Forte. Forte wants to play. Whether people want him to play is another question.
I think he still plays. Forte and Powell are not very expensive in terms of running backs. However, you can cut either of them for pretty cheap against your cap. Forte would be $1 million, and Powell would be only $883,000. So against the cap, if they cut them, I think they both stay on.
Corey Clement, undrafted free agent.
I want to talk
Austin Eckler, undrafted free agent. Eckler and Burita.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Corey Clement because he played very, very well.
Yes.
He earned his way on. He beat out Wendell Smallwood for a role on this team. Donnell Pumphrey was hurt.
Right, I realized that. I was just going to say, and Donnell Pumphrey wasn't involved.
Donnell Pumphrey was a 4th-round pick. So how are you projecting anything for Pumphrey, who's very undersized? Pumphrey is a Darren Sproles
Pumphrey reminds
type of running
me.
back.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to be involved in special teams. I think they'll utilize him in that capacity. I think that the way that they run that backfield is it's kind of, pedigree agnostic. It's just
LeGarrette Blount is an unrestricted free agent.
It's whoever works, and they're willing to share it. I mean, they've done it all year long. So
Doug Peterson, stop it.
Well, I mean, it's working.
I don't care.
He's in the Super Bowl.
I don't care if it works.
All
it
right.
doesn't work for me.
Matt Burita or Joe Williams next year?
Burita.
Okay. Austin Eckler, worth a draft pick next year?
Probably.
27
Probably
receptions, 3 touchdowns, 47 carries.
He's probably worth a late pick. Melvin Gordon tends to get hurt.
All right. Listen, Jay Grizz wants to talk about Mitch.
Oh.
Because nobody beats Mitch.
Nobody beats Mitch.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Is that local?
Is what local?
Nobody beats Mitch. Are we doing a reference that only Arizona understands?
Yeah, maybe we are.
I think he's shut down too. So if someone beat him.
That's funny. I thought that was like a Seinfeld reference because I was thinking.
Oh no, that's one of those terrible local commercials. Well, look it up.
It's a furniture commercial.
Is
Nobody
it?
beats Mitch.
Yeah, but it's the voice that I'm doing. That's spot on.
Yeah, do it again.
Nobody beats Mitch. Go look it up. It's terrible.
A lot of
I kind of sounded like Seinfeld.
A lot of people beat Mitch.
What's the deal with Mitch?
A lot of people beat Mitch this year.
Nobody beats him.
Matt Nagy, new head coach, Mark Helfrich, comes in.
Isn't a Nagy a bad guy in World of Warcraft?
Nagy?
I'm trying to think. There's the serpent creatures.
Nagas.
Nagas. Okay.
That's a bad reference.
I was close.
That's rough.
That was close.
See, baseball fans will know Nagy's name.
Oh, sure.
And you don't.
Nope.
All right. Look, Trubisky, there's going to be a lot of hype. I'm going to tell you right now. Are you going to put on the mufflers? Are you going to put on the headphones? Are you going to block it out? Is there a possibility of a big second-year leap for Mitch Trubisky with the offensive minds, coming into Chicago? So you might buy in.
I will.
You're going to hear this. The next
Jared Goff? Yes. Oh, yes. You're going to hear that. That's already out there.
See, I already like Trubisky enough coming in to think that he's going to be capable, but you have to give him weapons. You lost Meredith last year. You struggled to put him in a position where he could do very much. I mean, he had games where he started, they won a game with eight attempts or 8 completions, something like that?
Yeah, 9 of 12 games, he had under 200 passing yards.
That's what it comes down to.
And there was, of note, there are only 2 quarterbacks with a worse touchdown percentage than Mitch Trubisky, C.J. Beathard, and Brian Hoyer.
Bravo.
Teammates. So,
but that's not really indicative of the future of Trubisky.
Yeah, John Fox was limiting Mitch Trubisky. How at some point, you're John Fox.
Please don't tell me that. That doesn't make me feel good.
Look, John Fox, I don't like him as a coach. But to be where he is, I have to imagine that John Fox is a decently smart person.
Yes.
You have to know or feel that your job is on the line. Your team traded up for Mitch Trubisky. You could have just held your ground at 3 and hoped that he dropped to you, but they bit, they moved up, they got Trubisky. Your job is on the line. You're out of the playoffs. You have nothing to play for except your job and seeing what this team can do. How do you not just say, all right, Mitch, the second half of the season is yours?
Because he's old. That's how.
Mitch?
No, Fox. Nobody beats Mitch. But Fox is old. And you just do what you do when you're old.
I'm just
Trust
saying
me.
That's such poor decision making. At that point, you got to unleash your rookie quarterback, see what he can do. Coming into the draft, I was not nearly as high on Mitchell Trubisky as
he was the number 2 pick. Number 10 was Pat Mahomes. Number 12 was Deshaun Watson. We saw the magic of Deshaun Watson this year. Now, I'm happy. I believe in Bill O'Brien. I believe in that his offensive ability as a coach, his ability to bring success to a young quarterback, and I'm happy they locked him up. There had been conflicts between the GM and Bill O'Brien. They kept Bill O'Brien. I love it. I think it means a lot when it comes to projecting fantasy-wise what Deshaun Watson can do. Now, what he was doing was incredible.
Oh, he was on pace.
But I still think he's a top quarterback.
Here's the thing for Deshaun Watson. We had a Viking funeral for Jason. He died in the flames of Deshaun Watson when he attempted to pump the brakes. Deshaun Watson in those games, so if you remove the first 2 games where he was bad, all of a sudden he is the best quarterback in the league. He's on pace for 58 touchdowns, which is a ridiculous number, I know. But here's the problem.
How many did you just say?
He was on pace for 58
Nice.
passing touchdowns because he had a touchdown rate of 9.3%. That is impossible.
For a second, I heard 9.3 per second.
Well,
which was close.
As long as Will Fuller was healthy, he was.
No, he's great.
But 9.3, that's impossible. Carson Wentz this past year was 7.5. That's also ridiculously high. To put things in context, Russell Wilson, 6.1 touchdown percent. Aaron Rodgers, 6.7. Those were the only other 2 quarterbacks over 6% for a 6% touchdown rate. Brady, 5.5. Alex Smith, 5.1. Matt Stafford, 5.1. 9.3 is impossible. Now, can Deshaun Watson be a good fantasy quarterback coming off his ACL tear? I think so.
Brian F. Hughes on Twitter asked the question, is Deshaun Watson a top 5 quarterback for next year? That's tough. It's really hard to put him in the top 5.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to put him.
You're not putting Aaron Rodgers.
Will he be drafted like a top 5 quarterback?
Maybe.
I think so.
So I'm not going to own him.
Yeah, I probably won't either. But, it's hard to not die in those flames. Well, Jay, I'm about to get cremated in a month.
Look, you have arguably the best wide receiver in football. Behind Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe.
If you put the
I should have said one of the best. Fantasy-wise, he was number 1.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson has an absolute beast in DeAndre Hopkins and got him the ball and put them in a position to, use Will Fuller in the way that they need to use him.
Yeah, that pick worked.
The potential is there for Deshaun Watson. Now, Pat Mahomes, if he has an opportunity to be the starter next year, what do you see from Pat Mahomes in an Andy Reid offense?
You have to be
optimistic.
Hopeful.
Top 15, top 20.
I'm gonna top 15. Top 15 is fine. I don't think he drops out of that.
Gunslinger.
Andy Reid does too many good things.
Could be prone to the interception. Could be prone to a lot of success with Tarik Hill. I mean, there were games this year where Alex Smith didn't do much more than connect on a couple of deep balls to Tarik Hill. And his fantasy day was made. His fantasy day was made. So, DeShone Kizer was a second-round pick.
He was thrown to the wolves.
They added Todd Haley, but you can't see DeShone Kizer as a long-term starter there whatsoever. They're going to take a quarterback with the 1 or 4, and Kaiser's a career backup. I'm sorry.
I'm not going that far. I'm going that DeShone Kizer, his head coach did not listen to the advice of his staff, who said DeShone Kizer's not ready to start. He played him anyways. And he played him for a winless team.
Is anybody really ready to start for Cleveland?
That's a fair question.
Don't you always go into the huddle saying, I am not ready? I am not ready right now.
But I liked Kizer coming out of college. And
we didn't agree on that.
And to be fair, his head coach from Notre Dame, and I can't recall off the top of my head who it was, if it was the OC or the quarterback coach for Cleveland, but they've
all said he's not quite ready.
He wasn't ready. He has all the tools.
Yeah.
And you saw a couple good games.
You did.
For Kizer.
You saw a guy that was willing to stretch the field.
Yeah.
And they have weapons, but I don't think he's going to be the quarterback. That's the essential truth.
Yes, I agree that he is unlikely to be the quarterback. I wouldn't call him I wouldn't just stamp the label of you're a career backup.
Okay.
I think if he gets in a good situation, he could succeed, but will he ever even get a chance to be in a good situation? They're going to keep him for cheap, so he's going to be there for the rest of his first contract.
We will go through the wide receivers and the tight ends in a rookie review show later this week. Do you want to answer some questions, Mike?
What?
You want to do that?
What? I guess so.
Mailbag.
Mailbag, go! Now, these are new questions, right, Brooks?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Brooks is like,
all right.
This one's from Brooks.
If you have a question, you can go to the right. This one comes in from, hey, it's being written right now.
Should I trade Jay Ajayi from my dynasty team?
The nothing you do will help your dynasty team, Brooks. TheFantasyFootballers.com. Head over there, click the submit a question button. You can dial our voicemail hotline 302-464-TFFB. Mike, here's a question from Manny in San Diego.
I'm here.
Should I trade Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones for the number 3 overall pick in the rookie draft?
Ooh.
I currently have David Johnson, Tevin Coleman, Wayne Gallman, C.J. Prosise, Deonta Foreman, DeAndre Washington, and
yes.
Danny Woodhead.
The answer is
I
yes.
would do that because of your depth and the amount of players that you have that kind of are in the same tier of a Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones on a dynasty team. I'd be going for a bigger potential guy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Barkley's locked in at 101. I believe, and something devastating happens. There are a lot of excellent running backs in this draft who could find themselves in a very great situation. If Tampa, let's say Geis ends up in Tampa Bay, he probably doesn't slip to 103 for you, but there's a chance that he does. There are a few spots. There are a few running back needy teams that I think will fill their need with the draft instead of with free agency. So while I like Aaron Jones a lot, especially if he gets that job, I can't say for sure that he will. So I'm willing to make this trade. I would take the 103.
Adam in Cincinnati, do I trade Lev Bell away for Kareem Hunt and the third overall rookie pick?
Wow.
PPR Dynasty League.
Oh.
Came in second last year, so he can't buy this shirt with the code Mike's Tears on shopballers.com. Mike's Tears for 10% off.
My cheers are only worth 10%?
That's it.
You're a stingy man.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to pass this one to you. Would you trade Kareem or Lev Bell away for Hunt and the third overall pick?
No, I would not. You came in second last year. I'm not going to do this trade and get the player I don't think is as valuable. Lev Bell is going to get paid, and then he's going to be played a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I'd rather have him.
It's not just Bell, though. It's that third overall pick.
I know. But I would keep Lev Bell.
I mean, that third overall pick in this year's rookie draft, that worked out more than likely.
How many people won championships on the back of Todd Gurley? in dynasty leagues?
A lot.
How many would have had the? I mean, you trading Todd Gurley away for Kareem Hunt in the third?
Oh, I'm
I'm asking you that question.
Todd Gurley's younger.
Brooks, what do you do with this trade?
I'd probably take it. I think I would.
I mean, I lean
It's
to
tough,
taking
though.
it.
Is it how much of it is the youth of Kareem Hunt versus that third pick?
Well, Lev Bell's still pretty young. It's just the fact of you can get an actual starter, like plug and play starter. I
Maybe.
believe, at 103. And no, of course it's a maybe.
There's
but
a big maybe. Lev Bell is locked and loaded top 3. Kareem Hunt has done. He has that potential, but we don't know.
Kareem Hunt.
There's 2 question marks on the Hunt.
Kareem Hunt was the number 4 running back.
Yes.
Le'Veon Bell was now Le'Veon Bell has the ceiling. We know the ceiling of what he is, but we're just talking this past year. He was only 30 points better than Kareem Hunt. That difference of 30 points, you're going to smash that with the 103. It's look at your
not
starters.
necessarily.
I think
Why would you smash that? That guy might not play for you. And how do you know you make that 30 points up between that and what you have on a second place team?
That's what I'm saying. Look at your starters.
That's why I keep Love.
You keep Love.
I keep loving Lev.
Keep loving Lev.
Love Bell. All right, Mark in New York City.
New York City.
Hopefully that was some perspective for you. I mean, you got different opinions.
I lean with Brooks at I strongly considered making the trade.
Sure. And again, I have the hashtag Footland Title shirt, so take that for what you will.
Yeah, well, you better hope Todd Gurley repeats or you're going to the basement.
I'm feeling good. Mark in New York City, how do I convince my work league to switch to a half-point per reception league from a standard? And should he?
It's tough to convince an entire league to switch scoring formats.
So what would your argument be? Let's say you wanted to suggest that to them.
I would say
I think it's just plain more exciting and more fun to have more points scored in that way.
It creates more players that give you actual fantasy value. Where, and look at the running back position. We talked about the rise of pass-catching running backs. Doesn't necessarily mean that those guys are getting more carries. And if you are, it lets them be usable. You can use a third down running back as a flex if there's the half-point PPR. If it's just standard, they're not going to give you enough points to really impact your team. So it increases the player pool, makes it more fun. You're going to learn more about the league because you're going to have to dive deeper of who you can actually use. So that would be my argument.
Your case.
And secondly, if that doesn't work, you just say, you know what? The fantasy footballers say
recommend
that half point is the best scoring format. So
then they say who are the fantasy footballers? And then you say, well, they're the ones that have that cardboard bear that hosts.
They're the buffoons.
We didn't even mention the absence of Jason.
Yes, I did.
No, we talked about the presence of Jay Grizz, but not the absence.
I said he was away on vacation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's having
nobody cares.
What are the? We make a lot of bets on this show. Give me the percentage odds that at this exact moment in time
he's eating a churro. 65%.
All right, for Andy Holloway, myself.
Hey, you made it.
For Mike, I think my voice is almost helped it to talk about these rookies.
You're welcome.
For Mike, for Brooks, for myself, for Jay Grizz, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and listen. We are here all off season long, and we'll be back on Thursday with another episode. We'll go over the wide receivers, the latest news. We'll talk tight ends, and who knows what else. All I know is that the coupon code Mike's Tears will not work on Thursday, so you better grab.
The tears will have all fallen to the ground, and the discounts will have dropped.
I'm sure that there'll be more next year, Mike.
Oh, probably. I'm the king of second place.
Make sure you check out draft.com/ballers and play some best ball with us, the absolute best place to draft and play best ball leagues.
See you Thursday. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.